Welcome back to Novel Writing 101, the 21-week course where I teach you how to write the first draft of your novel. Now today we have another office hours kind of weekly wrap-up video, so let's get into it. So this was week 5 and our first official week of working on your first draft. We went over my first 2 tips and pieces of advice, which were first pages, how they're important but not to overthink them, and then how you should always write first and save the editing for later. I hope you guys had a good week. Again, this was our first week of actually writing, and I hope it was as stress-free as possible. Even if it wasn't stress-free, that's okay. That's kind of just part of the writing process. Some weeks are better than others. The key thing is that you keep moving forward. As always, this is a time to drop any questions or comments or concerns into the comment section so I can help you guys out. And with that, we're going to get into my personal experience of going through week 1 because there was a lot going on over here. Now, I'm working on 2 projects during this process with you guys. I'm working on Project Arcadia, which is my novella, and I'm working on Project Dark Seas, which is my full-length novel. Now, at the start of this, I said, hey, I think it might be too ambitious of me to be doing 2 projects while editing another novel, but I'm still going to do it. And yeah, it's kind of come back to bite me in the ass, but I'm still determined to get these projects done at the same time. So for Project Arcadia, again, this is my novella. It's only about 13 chapters, 14 including the prologue that I mapped out in my outline. And this week, my goal was to only write 1 chapter, and I successfully did that. I actually wrote 2 chapters this week. I wrote the prologue in chapter 1. So I'm feeling really good about Project Arcadia. However, I expected to feel really good about Project Arcadia. This is a novella. This is the shortest thing I've ever written, aside from flash fiction. And honestly, going into this project, I had no pressure. I was just like, this is going to be just like a fun, simpler project to work on, to get outside my comfort zone, try to write something more condensed, and see how it goes. So of course, I had no roadblocks when I started writing this book, because there was no external or internal pressure for me to make it perfect and amazing. So Project Arcadia is going really well, and then we're going to shift over to talk about Project Dark Seas, which, like a sea, is lots of ups and downs. Now, if you've watched any of my other office hours videos, you should know that Project Dark Seas is the project out of these 2 that means the most to me. I've been thinking about it really on and off for the past year. I have an extensive outline. I have so much lore and world building into this project that I feel a lot of pressure to complete it how I think it should be done. Now, this week, my goal was to write 3 chapters for Project Dark Seas. Again, much different than Project Arcadia, where I just have to write 1 and it's all easy breezy. I have to write 3 chapters per week to finish this novel, this first draft, in the next 16 weeks. So I started on Monday feeling fantastic. I started writing the prologue, and it was so short and sweet. It was like, I think just 1,000 words, and I was like, this is amazing. I love this so much. I had some notes to pull in from my outline, and I was just really flowing with it and vibing with it. And then I started writing chapter 1 the next day. And let me tell you, even though I finished that chapter in 1 writing session, I started to struggle a bit. Now, the series that I've been working on for the past couple years and the series I'm currently editing is fantasy, but it's written in first person. And Project Arcadia, I ended up deciding to write in first person as well. Now, Project Dark Seas, I started writing in third person limited because I thought it would work best with the characters, the story, and just the different POV switches. But I haven't written in third person limited since I wrote my debut novel, which I have mixed feelings about. So I have been kind of trying to push through the ick a bit on this in terms of like, I've been writing first person for so long now that I kind of like forgot how to write third person well and how I like writing third person. So it's been this really interesting dilemma of like having so much reference material in terms of my outline, but having to like wade through this discomfort of like, how do I tell this story in this way that I've chosen? Which I know I'll eventually like figure it out. It's just like the kind of beginning like ick and like feel like you're trudging through mud a bit and like not making a lot of progress. But it did get better, I will say. So I finished prologue, I finished chapter 1, and I started writing chapter 2 yesterday, and I was like, this is not working. This is horrifying. I hate this. This is just not fun. So I took a little bit of a break, and then I came back later to it in the day, and I was like, we're just going to just start writing and see what happens. We're going to try to push through, and if we finish the chapter, that's fantastic. If not, it's fine. So I pushed through, and I pushed through, and I pushed through, and I finally finished the chapter. And you know what? I really want to go back and start reading it, but then there's my tip of write now, edit later, and I know if I go back and start reading it, I'll start making all these tweaks, and I just need to, like, chill out a little. I think, again, because I have so much pressure on this project because it means so much to me, I'm like already like my mind is spinning a bit and I'm overthinking and overanalyzing and like, oh my god, it has to be this, it has to be this, it has to be this, when I should just like, again, just get the story out, tell the story to myself in the first draft, and then figure out how to refine it and make it better and the best it can be in the future edits. So that's kind of been a look at my week personally for week 5. Again, Project Arcadia, doing really well. Project Dark Seas, having a lot of ups and downs. There's parts, like I read some of the prologue out on TikTok, and I made a little post on Instagram, and there's like parts of it that I think are so good, and I love so much. There's so much interesting lore and description. And then there's parts of the first chapter that I'm like, what the fuck am I trying to say? And then I go into the second chapter, and I'm like, what is the pacing? What are these perspectives? Like, I'm just kind of like trying to work through the ick of like, it's not quite there yet, but I need to keep going and like let it get there. So yeah, chaos over here. So there's my little personal wrap up and update for week 5 of this course and week 1 of section B, writing and execution. Again, I have been through this process many times now, and I know that some weeks are much better than others. Some weeks you feel like you are the most shit writer and the project isn't going to work, and why are you even bothering? And then the next week you can be like, this is like a stroke of creative genius. I was made to do this, and you just feel so good. So I know I just need to wade through this like weird discomfort I'm in now. And again, I know it's because of all this pressure I'm putting on myself. That's why I feel like so stuck right now, but I'm going to push into the new week, and we're going to get some good tips going in the next lecture and keep progressing in our first draft. That's it for me today. A little chaotic, a little personal, but I hope you guys are, again, enjoying the course, learning something, and also pushing yourself out of your comfort zone when it comes to your writing. That's it for me today. Happy writing, and I'll see you next time.